The Leeds United season so far, they'll go 4 points clear at the top if they win tonight, and 6 clear of Burnley. Here is Jayden Anthony for Burnley, out on the near side of the field, tries a 1-2 with Zian Fleming, looking for his first goal at home as a Burnley player tonight. Leeds clear towards the halfway line, and Pirou, who drops deep midway inside his own half to steer the ball square, and infield to Bogle. Bogle races unchallenged over the halfway line, he's got plenty of space to dart into. Edge of the penalty area, looks for Solomon, only half away. Pirou with the left-footed shot, that's charged down by CJ Egan-Riley. And down goes Solomon on the edge of the penalty area. That's a Leeds United free kick. Left of centre, and though the angle is slightly against them, it's within shooting range. What a high-tempo start. Burnley 0, Leeds 0.
Yeah, an excellent break from Leeds United. Bogle, that's what he gives you from right back. He will drive forwards. I just thought he should have played in Dan James. First opportunity, get that ball wide, get him 1v1 against Humphreys. He made a great run as well to test the pace of Humphreys. Bogle didn't play, he then reversed it towards Solomon. It got cut out, loosely passed by Anthony, and then Solomon just got his body in the way and has won a clever free kick just outside the area.
It's at the Jimmy McElroy end of the ground. The floodlights on here at Turf Moor, and the rain swirling high up above us on a cold night, but of course the players will have been expecting that, plenty wearing gloves, as Brendan Aronson has got the ball placed down for this free kick. Leeds have made fast starts in each of their last 2 matches. A goal in the 3rd minute against Sheffield Wednesday, and after just over 30 seconds against Norwich at the weekend. Free kick, 2 or 3 yards from the edge of the penalty area, left of centre. Gruev and Aronson are the 2 standing over it. It's going to be Brendan Aronson to curl it right-footed into the wall. Poor effort. And in fact, what's the referee spotted there? Well, he's certainly stopped the game. May well have been an offside, or was there a push, Dean? I'm not entirely sure, but it's a Burnley free kick.
I think obviously you have to be a distance away from the wall, and actually Pirou, I think, just pulled back a Burnley defender that was right next to the wall in the end, as he's just tried to create the space for Aronson to then curl it round the back of the wall. Aronson's attempt was abysmal, to be honest. It was a waist height rather than trying to whip that up and over.
Header away by Joe Rodon for Leeds, midway inside his own half of the field. Dean Ashton, the former England striker, with us tonight for commentary on TalkSport 2. We're high at the back of the main stand, the north stand at Burnley. Steep drop to the touchline below. Connor Roberts, formerly of Leeds United, to take the throw to Burnley. Had a loan spell at Leeds last season. Back to the halfway line, and CJ Egan-Riley. The key, of course, for both clubs is to return to the Premier League. Leeds came close last season, but beaten in the playoff final. Burnley, of course, relegated last season in what was a very chastening campaign. Dan James for Leeds, wriggling towards the halfway line, and Aronson can spin and turn inside the centre circle, and Leeds look dangerous here. 4 forward in the attack. Aronson left edge of the penalty area. Further wide is Aronson on the overlap. He brings it down to Solomon. Solomon now back to Sam Byram, corner of the box, deflected cross. It'll drop here for Tanaka. Thought about shooting, steers it wide instead to Bogle. Right-hand edge of the box. Bogle with a left-footed shot, and it's going to fly miles over the top on his weaker foot there, Jayden Bogle, and he sends it skywards. High, not very handsome, and the ironic cheers of the Burnley fans will tell you that was a long way from goal. 0-0.
Yeah, not a good effort in the end from Jayden Bogle. Just cutting inside onto that left foot, trying to curl it with the inside of his left foot. He somehow managed to curl it with the outside of his left foot, up and over, way over the top of the crossbar. But a really electric break once again from Leeds, and showing that in the turnover of possession, they've got plenty of energy and runners forward.
Well, these are the nights where you must be decisive. Chances may come, and if they go by the wayside, then you could well be punished. Burnley 0, Leeds 0, 7 minutes gone. And a reminder that Burnley haven't conceded a goal in the Championship since the 21st of December to Watford's Quadwo Bar. 6 league clean sheets in a row for Burnley, 19 from 28 in the Championship so far this season.
I mean, that's the best January I've seen, I've heard. Terrific.
Will they make it to the end of the month? Solomon, corner of the penalty area for Leeds, thinks about a shot, right-footed, lays it square to Pirou, couple of touches, and he's smuggled the ball square, but he's not been able to find a teammate. Burnley had plenty in claret and blue, back behind the ball, and it's shepherded upfield by Jayden Anthony, who knows Scott Parker well. They worked together in their time at Bournemouth, and that was another of Scott Parker's promotions to the Premier League. Fulham he's done it with before, and twice Daniel Farke when he was head coach of Norwich City. So These two are two of the best in the dugout when it comes to winning promotion to the Premier League in the modern era. 8 gone, Burnley 0, Leeds 0. And predictably, that effort from Bogle aside, the intensity's there, the energy's there, but it's tight and cagey, isn't it, Dean Ashton?
Yeah, it is, and it's not a surprise really to see Burnley, even though they're the home side, to just sit in an organised defensive position and allow Leeds to have the ball. I don't think they'll mind the two centre-backs and Gruev just popping it around. As soon as it goes into midfield, that's when the energy needs to start for Burnley.
Gruev has dropped in between the two Leeds United centre-halves, and now Joe Rodon with the angled ball out to the far side, the Leeds right in front of the Burnley dugout. James accelerates forward, finds Bogle, little flick back to the edge of the penalty area from the corner of the box, and Josh Cullen there to sweep it out to play for a Leeds United throw. It nearly fell for Brendan Aronson, that clever infield flick, but Aronson was ahead of the play, and now Leeds from that throw go back to the halfway line. They're a very elegant side in possession, Leeds United. Out on the right-hand side again is Bogle, hugging that far side touchline. Ball infield to James, jinks away from Humphreys, but he can't play the return pass to Bogle, cleared away high upfield by Foster for Burnley. Fleming will try and bring it down just shy of the halfway line, goes down into the challenge of Al Tanaka, and that is a Leeds United free kick. I wonder who would be happiest with a point tonight, Dean Ashton? Who does it matter to more in terms of trying to win the game tonight?
I think you would say Burnley, being the team that's chasing. I think Leeds with Sheffield United's result, picking up a point away from home at Burnley wouldn't be too bad.
Anthony raiding down the near side, the right for Burnley's 5 yards from the dead ball line, and Byram is backing off. Anthony twists and turns, plays it back to Connor Roberts, and now Anthony again in a crossing position. That's a lovely ball, and the downward header by Fleming is wide. Big chance for Zian Fleming, who's been in fantastic form for Burnley of late away from home. He was about 8 yards out when he met the clever cross from Jadon Anthony, but he couldn't find the target. Best chance of the game so far. Stays 0-0 on TalkSport 2.
Well, I thought Anthony had taken too long to make the cross, and sometimes, of course, movement is key in and around the penalty area, but sometimes just standing still is where you're going to get the space. The Leeds back four just dropped to the edge of the 6-yard line. Fleming just stood on the penalty spot with his arms up in the air to say, I'm free. Anthony found him, free header, just a terrible direction. Just went to head it down and into the corner, just got it all wrong. It skimmed off his head and went terribly wide.
Former striker Dean Ashton, formerly of West Ham and England, of course. Out on the left-hand side for Burnley is Bashir Humphreys, and he'll check back to Josh Laurent, just inside Leeds United territory. 5 goals in his last 4 games for Zian Fleming. All 8 of his Burnley goals have come on the road. Forward by Roberts for Burnley, intercepted by Byron for Leeds. Forward from the left-back position to Piru, little touch to Aronson, just outside the centre circle, wriggles away from Cullen, but is forced to go backwards to the feet of Rodon. And now Gruev, just shy of the halfway line for Leeds United. Quite a big call for Daniel Farke to include him ahead of Rothwell tonight, because Gruev has played so little football over recent months.
But if he's fit and ready, he is a terrific player at the start of the season. Got lovely left foot. He can really dictate the tempo, the way he just keeps popping the ball back and forth with the centre-backs and then forward into Aronson.
Solomon trying to maraud down the Leeds left, the scorer of those 2 early goals I mentioned earlier for Leeds in recent matches, but took the ball out of play. 2,200 Leeds fans at the ground tonight, away to the right-hand side as we look at it. That away end is split between home and away supporters. Now Brownhill for Burnley, back to his centre-half Esteve, who just about managed to play it forward to Brownhill again, and Burnley play out of the defensive third, but only just, not entirely convincingly. Burnley 0, Leeds 0, if you're just joining us, live and exclusive to National Radio on TalkSport 2. Leeds starting the night a point clear of Sheffield United at the top, with Burnley 3 points behind them. The goal difference between Leeds and Burnley is 7, and Leeds the team who are better off, and Leeds the team who've scored the most goals of any side in the Championship this season. Burnley the fewest in the top 6, but defensively they are so good. Humphreys forward from the left-back position, and a first-time reverse ball up the inside left channel from Fleming, and there's far too much on that for Laurent. And Leeds have the ball back with goalkeeper Meslier, all in green, and Illan Meslier has been under pressure of late. Leeds just slowing the tempo momentarily. Ampadu at walking pace, little quick pass forward to the dark-haired Tanaka. Gruev on the outside of Ampadu towards the left-back position for Leeds United. They've got both full-backs quite high at the moment, Leeds. Roden now, angled ball out to the far side, lovely touch by James, but slightly overhit towards Bogle and swept away downfield by Esteve for Burnley. Scott Parker and Daniel Farke standing either side of the halfway line at the front of the Bob Lord stand. That's the opposite side of the field. Scott Parker in his green jacket and Daniel Farke all in black. You know Scott Parker well, Dean. He's never underdressed for the occasion, is he?
Not at all. Not at all. I don't think I've ever seen him in anything other than a proper outfit. I don't think he does joggers and a hoodie.
Not on a night like tonight. Burnley 0, Leeds 0. In the 14th minute, forward by Humphreys towards Foster with a little back heel. Gets the ball back midway inside his own half from Brownhill, and Cullen shuffles it backwards to Esteve, and the Burnley fans around us applaud. CJ Egan-Riley just forward of his own penalty area. Burnley go back to goalkeeper Trafford, all in dark blue. 2 penalties saved in one match against Sunderland here recently, including one in the 97th minute. And so Burnley picked up yet another goalless draw. 8 in the Championship this season. Is that a foul by Bogle on Laurent, who was backpedaling inside his own half? It is, and Burnley get themselves a free kick. And you can see, Dean, can't you, as you can every time really Burnley play, why they are so difficult and so compact and so tough to break down.
Yeah, I mean, he's got them well drilled, this Burnley side. And you've got to have the willingness to defend, especially the forward players. Anthony on the right, and Fleming and Brownhill, who are up top at the moment, doing the work, making sure you're getting into positions to stop the ball going into midfield easily. I just think Lyle Foster on that side is one to watch. He's going to have to do a lot of work against Bogle. Bogle will raid forwards, and they'll try and overload Humphreys. And it's just whether Foster can continue to do that defensive work.
Good ball by Cullen up to Anthony on the halfway line, and a neat layoff out to the right, and Roberts, who goes backward to Brownhill. There's a Burnley fan out of his seat in front of us, urging the team to get the ball forward. Cullen wriggles away from 2 yellow Leeds shirts, finds Foster just inside the Leeds half, but he's dispossessed by Aronson. Foster's touch wasn't the best. Not played a lot of football in comparison to some of his colleagues so far this season. Lyle Foster not helped by a knee injury, and Leeds suddenly with great authority and composure have the ball back with Roden midway inside his own half the field. Burnley undefeated in the Championship since the 3rd of November. Leeds haven't been beaten in the league since the 30th of November. These are the 2 in-form sides in the second tier. Both have their hearts set on the Premier League, and of course both may well go up at the end of the season. It feels like 2 from 4 certainly from automatic promotion. Don't rule out Sunderland just yet either. On the halfway line for Leeds on that far side to right is Bogle. Dark skies up ahead here in Lancashire. Roden with a square ball to Ampadu, the Leeds captain, just left of the centre circle. 10-yard ball forward to Solomon, back to Tanaka, almost on the centre spot. Again, Burnley sitting off Leeds, allowing them to have possession in that middle third of the field. Roden looks up, and another ball out to the right, and James, who scampers infield for Leeds United, about 35 yards out, rolls it back out wide to Bogle. Low ball into the near post. James with a low shot across the face of goal and wide. He mishit it, did Dan James. Lovely football from Leeds to carve Burnley apart up that inside right channel. James, yes, the angle was against him, but it was a bobbled shot that never troubled James Trafford, and behind it away it goes for a goal kick. Burnley 0, Leeds 0. Here's Dean Ashton.
And it's that right hand side, and it's Lyle Foster that was just bypassed by Dan James when it went out wide, and once he bypassed it, he then played it round the corner towards Bogle. Bogle got his head up and then returned it to Dan James, who took a great first touch, I have to say. It was sat up beautifully to be struck, and as he's just gone to strike it, he's hit the top of the ball. Rather than striking through the ball, he's hit the top of the ball, bobbled it onto the ground and skipped it away. It's a really, really poor effort from Dan James, considering the position he was in.
Now Aronson with his back to goal for Leeds. Corner of the penalty area. Leeds look the more likely to score in these first 18 minutes. Solomon now with the red boots on, teases it back to Gruev, about 10 yards from the edge of the penalty area. Further back is Ampadu. Everybody inside the Burnley half bar, the Leeds goalkeeper. Aronson with a little poke to the edge of the penalty area. Tanaka takes over. Tanaka out to the left-hand side. Inside left is Gruev, and he's blocked off by Anthony. And again, Burnley very diligent in their defending. Aronson, though, spins away up on the corner of the penalty area again, tries a reverse pass into the feet of Byram. Burnley sweep it away. Anthony clears. Was there a deflection off a Leeds player? There was, and it's a Burnley throw in their right-back position. But there's good combination play going on, Dean, for Leeds United down both flanks at the moment, and it's unusual for Burnley to look a little concerned defensively.
I mean, look, they've got terrific players out wide, and the full-backs will get forward also. So Anthony and Lyle Foster have to do the work, and if they don't, then you end up conceding opportunities, as Dan James managed to grab one. That's one apiece now. Fleming's header and Dan James's attempt, neither of the right quality for a game of this magnitude.
Well, one back by Tanaka on the halfway line, but then he loses out to Brownhill. Little nudge to his right, and Anthony's just going to try and dart past Byram the old-fashioned way. That had some of the Burnley fans on their feet, but Anthony's touch was poor. And out of play it goes for a Leeds throw in the left-back area. And Sam Byram continuing to keep Junior Firpo on the Leeds bench after his recent return from injury. In fact, I'll give you both sets of subs for Leeds: Darlow, Firpo, Rothwell, Ramazzani, Joseph, Gilavogi, Nonto, Schmidt and Verber. For Burnley, Ladke, Worrell, Sarmiento, Rodriguez, Egan, Pires, Hannibal, Koleosho, who scored the winner in the reverse fixture, and Ashley Barnes, who is back at Burnley once again these days. And when you think about the strength in depth, Dean, as Burnley win a free kick on the halfway line, these are, I think, just about, Sheffield United might have their say, but the two best squads in the Championship overall.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at the two benches, there's plenty of Championship teams that would absolutely love to have plenty of those players in their starting 11, and they're having to bide their time and wait their chance at these two clubs. I mean, neither team yet has had any momentum, have they? Each have had a little bit of possession. Leeds, the bulk of it, with 58%, but neither team has had any momentum yet in the game or got a hold of it.
20 minutes gone. Burnley 0, Leeds United 0. And as perhaps was to be expected, defence is on top in this top-of-the-table clash to end at top-of-the-table clashes in the Championship. Third against first. Long ball thundered downfield. Byram is there for Leeds United to sweep it away. Left-footed Burnley throw midway inside the Leeds half on the near side. Squaring in field with a throw by Roberts. That's travelled 20 yards or so to find Brownhill, who feeds Humphreys out on the left. Lots of space to whip in the cross. Up go the heads. Fleming was onto it. Was there a touch? It was from Fleming, but it's only a glancing blow, and it's gone behind for a goal kick to Leeds United. Certainly there was too much space, I'm sure Daniel Farker will feel, for Bashir Humphreys out on that Burnley left.
Yeah, he just drifted away from Dan James out wide, Humphreys, and he puts in a really inviting ball to go and attack, and Fleming sees it from deep, comes rushing in, just trying to get up and above Ampadu. Couldn't quite do it, too much pressure on him, wasn't able to angle the header, I think because of that pressure from Ampadu, and just went narrowly wide. It was a decent delivery from Humphreys.
We've got more Championship football for you tomorrow on TalkSport 2 in the relegation battle, Portsmouth against Millwall, and live cricket as well from 1:30 tomorrow on TalkSport 2. England against India in the third T20. Burnley have it now with Humphreys on the inside left channel, down by the dead ball line. He's blocked off by James. Back it goes to Foster, who whips it in dangerously. Header away by Ampadu. Lovely cross. It'll drop down to the edge of the Leeds penalty area. Burnley still on the attack. Jayden Anthony thinks about delivering. Back it goes to Egan Riley. Thinks about a cross again. Dinked in field and squared by Anthony to the edge of the box, and Leeds managed to beat Brownhill to it, but then it's given away by Piru. Burnley may be back on the attack. Humphreys forward. Lovely ball up the left towards Laurent inside the penalty area, but he couldn't quite reach it. Burnley, remember, scored 5 in the first half at Plymouth in their last game in the Championship, but that pass went through to Meslier. And a quick throw out to Aronson now, and Leeds are on the break. Aronson's got Bogle on his outside. On that far side of the field, it's 0-0. Tracking back with the late tackle was Foster. A risky challenge, and he clipped the heels of Bogle, and it's a free kick to Leeds United in a dangerous position, very close to the corner of the box, Dean.
Well, he just didn't quite track the run and so he was the wrong side of Bogle. He's tried to win the ball. Bogle's recognised that he's coming across, steps across him, and takes a whack in the back and goes down into a dangerous area. But just before, Ampadu's header was excellent. Fantastic ball in from Foster, loads of pace and whip and arc in towards the Leeds United goal, and a really strong header from Ampadu.
Well, two superb options for Leeds here from this right-wing free kick. Will it be the right boot of Solomon to deliver, or the left-footed in-swinging delivery of Ilya Gruev? 0-0 midway through the first half on TalkSport 2. It will be Solomon to whip it in, headed away at the near post, hit by James on the volley, takes a big deflection, loops up towards the penalty spot, header clear by Laurel, drops down on the edge of the penalty area again, hooked back in by Roden, over the top and high, and that'll take a bounce, and it's gathered by Trafford, and Burnley defend it well again. Now Humphreys in the left-back area. He's given it straight to Jayden Bogle. Leeds can get back on the attack with all of the great pace that they've got in those forward areas, Leeds United. They make for a thrilling team to watch in the Championship at times. Beaten only 3 times this season. Burnley have only lost twice in the league. And Burnley were the winners of the reverse fixture narrowly by a goal to nil at Elland Road back in mid-September. Roden on the halfway line for Leeds United, and he's travelled forward about 15 yards up to the midway point of the Burnley half. Good turn by Aronson, tried that reverse ball again into the path of Bogle, made an underlapping run, and it squeezes out of play via a deflection for a Leeds throw on the far side of the field, the Bob Lord stand and the cricket pitch side of the ground, Turf Moor. Bogle down by the corner flag, thinks about a cross, then turns back onto his left foot, all the way back to Roden. Neither team feeling the need to force the issue. There's a patience about both sides in the final third, and there's some lovely craft in some of the passing that we're seeing, I think, Dean Ashton, without at the moment either team finding that killer touch, and that is maybe why it's 0-0.
Yeah, I think you can see both teams are confident when they've got possession of the football. Defensively, Burnley have been terrific in their shape. It's just been out wide where they've looked a little bit vulnerable, but they're happy for Leeds to have it, and they did in the reverse fixture. That's what they did. They just tried to frustrate Leeds, wait for a counter-attack to get their goal. And they're trying to do something similar this evening, I'm sure, as well. It might take, like we saw with Rodon, it might take one of the centre-backs stepping out of position to try and just draw a Burnley player out.
A clever ball by Roberts into the feet of Fleming, midway inside his own half, and he's being followed every step of the way by either Ampadu or Roden. Burnley have to go back into their own territory, and Connor Roberts just in field from the near side touchline, and now the big tall centre-half Esteve. He and Egan Riley have formed the outstanding central defensive partnership in the Championship this season. Egan Riley, formerly of Manchester City, and Esteve in his first full season at Burnley, having joined initially on loan from Montpellier last season. Trafford, the goalkeeper, inside his own penalty area now. 26 minutes gone, and it's 0-0 on TalkSport 2. Given away by Burnley. Humphreys straight to Tanaka, 30 yards out, on to Solomon, edge of the D, back to Tanaka again. Tanaka looks up and swings the ball left to right to the far side. Bogle brings it down, he's in a crossing position, but Humphreys is across to block the delivery. Now Tanaka, 5 yards from the corner flag, back it goes to Rothwell again. Burnley with everybody in claret and blue behind the ball. Good ball by Rothwell though, onto Bogle, low ball in, turned away by Humphreys at the near post. That was a simple 10-yard ball by Rothwell, and suddenly Burnley looked a bit stretched. Tanaka out on the Leeds right. We'll get another word from the former England striker Dean Ashton in just a moment. Ampadu with a little chip out to the Leeds right again, and Bogle is a constant outlet for Leeds United here, and he's peeling widest as Tanaka spins away from Foster, who slips out to the right hand side for Leeds again. This time it's James who suddenly accelerates down the right hand side, low ball into the near post, only half away. Bogle, can he whip it back across? Takes a big deflection up into the air, and then it's headed behind by Roberts at the far post before Byram could get there, and it's a Leeds United corner.
Yeah, you feel if there's going to be an opening for Leeds, it's down the right-hand side. Bogle really is, especially when they get good possession. He's just driving in field, looking to get himself free away from Foster, who's not tracked him well enough a couple of times now.
Corner's taken short to Solomon, down by the dead ball line, and a right-footed in-swinging delivery, headed away, drops down to the edge of the D, and Aronson will just caress the ball back to Bogle. middle of the Burnley half, central area, big diagonal way over hit, waste from Leeds as the ball goes flying out of play for a goal kick. Remember, of course, a draw for Leeds United would keep them very much top of the Championship. They'd go 2 points clear of Sheffield United and 4 clear of Burnley if it were to be a 0-0 tonight, and who would be greatly surprised if it was. Burnley starting the evening a point off second place, had 2 points off second place rather, 2 points behind Sheffield United. They've got a much better goal difference than Sheffield United, it's worth saying, and 3 points adrift of Leeds United. 56 points for Burnley, 59 for Leeds, and Sheffield United, who were beaten by Hull live on TalkSport 2 at the very start of the Championship weekend, are sandwiched in between them. Goalless still as we head to the half-hour mark, and low-key, I think, in the atmosphere for the most part, and save for the travelling band of Leeds supporters, and low-key on the field, certainly in terms of clear-cut chances as James is flagged offside. But in many ways, Dean, this may have been the game that we might have expected. Certainly the head coaches, I think, would have been expecting this sort of game.
I think in the first 30 minutes, absolutely. You know, in such a game like this, you're not just going to come out and be open. You're going to be cagey. You don't want to give anything away cheaply. But it's definitely Leeds who are genuinely probing, but absolutely zero through the middle. Perot not even a sniff of anything down the middle. Burnley are only really allowing Leeds to attack down the flanks.
Not really had a meaningful touch, has he? And Joel Pirou in the first half for Leeds United. Humphreys infield for Burnley to Fleming, and a heavy ball back to Esteve. Just inside the Burnley half, square pass to Egan Riley. So many great technicians dotted all over the field for both sides. Anthony raiding down the right, the near side for Burnley. He's got 2 Leeds defenders tracking him all the way for company, and the deflection of Solomon takes it out of play for a corner to Burnley, their first of the game so far. Brownhill will come across and take it. Humphreys and Esteve to come forward from the defensive positions. In fact, it'll be left to Jayden Anthony to take in front of the end away to the right-hand side, the David Fishwick stand. And Solomon isn't the full 10 yards from the corner flag, and he's going to get a yellow card from the referee. First yellow card of the game so far, and that's certainly got the Burnley supporters exercised, enjoying every moment of that. And what will be the threat maybe to the Leeds United goal from this first Burnley corner. Half an hour gone and Leeds have brought everybody back to defend it. It'll be Jayden Anthony to deliver. Right-footed this, and it's drilled to the corner of the penalty area. Connor Roberts on his left foot with a low shot, that's blocked. Roberts has smuggled it back out wide to Anthony again. He's sliding to try and keep it in, and he can't do so. A lack of quality in the final third really so far, ultimately for both teams, and 0-0 it remains.
It's actually half a decent chance for Connor Roberts to get a good strike away. Nobody came out to him as he drifted towards the edge of the box. Yes, it was his weaker left side. It was a poor effort straight into the first defender.
Josh Cullen for Burnley down the middle, given away by Brownhill, trying to angle the pass out to the Burnley right. Byram with great authority was there on the cover for Leeds United, and he pushes the ball back to Ampadu, and the threat of Burnley contained once again by Leeds United here. Roden is midway inside his own half. Leeds playing from right to left, and now the noise picks up at Turf Moor on a huge night of football in the Championship. We've got a Lancashire derby for you on Friday night. Blackburn against Preston North End. On the halfway line is Bogle, sprinting over the halfway line for Leeds United. Inside right channel, he's trying to smuggle the ball away from Lauren. He's poked it forward to the edge of the penalty area. Very heavy touch by Pirou. Very heavy touch, and Burnley clipped the ball clear, high to the halfway line. How tough is it, Dean Ashton, as a former striker, when you're in Joel Pirou's situation in the game?
It's not easy when you're not involved for long periods of the game, but he's still a professional footballer, and he should be able to control the ball when it comes to him and not let it bounce off his shin 5 yards away. So that was just a poor technical error from Joel Pirou. Needs to do better when that's fired in towards him. But Bogle against Foster over on that far side from the position we are is the key battle, and Bogle at the moment is getting the upper hand, and Foster just isn't quite tracking the run of Bogle.
Tanaka has the ball on the halfway line. Stalemate so far between these two high flyers in the Championship. Burnley in third, Leeds United the league leaders. 3 points between them at the start of the night. That will remain the case if the scoreline stays like this. Aronson with the angled ball out to the right for Leeds. James again rushes in field and plays a lovely ball up the middle, a reverse pass, and Pirou couldn't quite reach it. Maybe just angled a little too far away from his run, but James always a potent threat whenever he's in possession for Leeds United.
Well, it's the first time there's been a little gap, hasn't there, through the middle of that Burnley defence. I think Pirou might have been a fraction offside if that had have got to him, but just for a fraction of a second, the gap between Egan Riley and Esteve just open.
The 34th minute in the rain at Turf Moor. Scott Parker emerges from his technical area on the far side of the field, and almost at the same time Daniel Farke does likewise. They're standing about 10 yards apart, the two head coaches now. Cullen for Burnley, the ever reliable Josh Cullen, who was on the score sheet away at Plymouth last time out with that spree of goals in the first half for Burnley. They were 5-0 up at half-time against the league's bottom club. Humphreys now, poor ball up to the halfway line. Bogle made the interception. Leeds United are on the attack. Pirou turns away inside the centre circle and knocks it wide left to Manor Solomon. Solomon now taking on Roberts, who's backing off. Anthony helping out Connor Roberts. Byram's made an overlapping run for Leeds. Solomon delivers and wins a corner. Did well with two Burnley defenders in front of him. Second corner of the game for Leeds United. 0-0 it remains.
Yeah, much better play, wasn't it, from Joel Burrow? Ball into him, lovely touch this time to swivel away and set Solomon down the left-hand side. Possibly could have used Sam Byron's run, but actually defensively Connor Roberts and Anthony didn't fall for that and just stuck in their positions.
Corner in front of that two-tiered home end behind the goal, whipped in left-footed by Gruev. It'll drop to the back post, a big bounce in the penalty area, diverted it away from goal on a slippery surface. James out on the far side now, the Leeds right, taking on Laurent. Low ball in, Pirou controls, angle against him, forced wide by Esteve. Good defending by Esteve without actually touching the ball. Jockeys Pirou and then sticks out a leg and times his challenge well. Esteve, the Burnley defender, tries to race to halfway. He's been tackled though by Bogle. Bogle's ball down the middle. Pirou will chase. He was onside. Fleming is there though in front of him to shepherd it back to goalkeeper Trafford, who hammers it high downfield. It's a bouncing ball that Anthony is chasing. Out comes Meslier, the Leeds goalkeeper, and he's headed it down calmly in the end, the goalkeeper, to the feet of Byram in the left-back position. There's a slight nervousness about the Leeds fans whenever Meslier's in that sort of situation. He has made some high-profile errors in the Championship this year. Burnley 0, Leeds 0, but the atmosphere is picking up, and maybe the pace of the game is picking up with 9 minutes or so of normal time remaining in the first half on a night where Burnley want to win to go level on points with Leeds at the top of the table, Dean Ashton.
Yeah, I think they were buoyed by that excellent tackle from Esteve on the far side. He then just didn't know what to do as he went forwards, gave the ball away, and then Trafford with big long kick forwards. Anthony did excellent just to chase it down, make it difficult for Meslier, who, whether he likes it or not, is going to have that side of things because of the mistakes he's made, but actually he was very calm in the way he defended that.
Bogle again, touch tight on that far side, infield to Pirou with a low cross from the right edge of the penalty area, and then Laurent slides in right on the dead ball line to stop the ball going out to play for a corner. In the end it flies out and it's a throw to Leeds United. Out on that right-hand side, about 10 yards from the halfway line. Big electronic scoreboard in the corner. Bogle takes the throw, square, gets it back from Aronson. Now backwards to Roden again. This territorial dominance for Leeds United. Tanaka, a little dink over the top towards Bogle again down the right. Bogle's almost played the first half like a winger, but the ball was overhit by Tanaka and Bogle can't keep it in play. And Leeds have had most of the territory. Dean and Burnley are very content defending that final third of their half, and you can see exactly why. Again, 9 goals conceded all season. However which way you want to phrase it, they're breaking all sorts of records in the EFL when it comes to defending.
But it will be a concern how often they're getting down that right-hand side and looking like they might start to create if they allow Bogle to have the freedom and Dan James then to be able to combine with him. That'll be something I'm sure Scott Parker will be thinking about. He's just having a little word. He just pulled Josh Brownhill over, so I wonder whether he'll just be talking about that or something else.
Well, Humphreys for Lucas Pires was the only change. What was the thinking behind it, do you feel?
I think obviously with Humphreys, maybe his size, he might be a little bit quicker actually than Pires, knowing he's up against Dan James.
Yes, the dual threat of James and Bogle in this first half, but still yet to see an effort on target for either team. Esteve with a long ball up the middle. Brownhill was chasing in a central area, but it flies over his head and the ball spits through off the turf to Ilan Meslier, the big Leeds goalkeeper. Now Ampadu midway inside his own half the field. A 10-yard ball forward to Tanaka, and Burnley trying to compress the play. So Leeds United are forced wide as Gruev steers the ball infield to Tanaka. This is all midway inside the Leeds United half in the 39th minute of the game. 0-0 out on the right is Bogle again. Forward ball to James. Lovely close control. James scampers infield. He's about midway into the Burnley half. Lovely ball outside of his foot. Byram chests it down in the area. 50-50 challenge with Anthony. And the Leeds United players, one or two, appeal that Anthony's challenge was too robust. It sent Byram to the ground. I didn't think it was a penalty, and the referee didn't think so either.
Spot on, Joe, yeah. Just shoulder to shoulder in the angle. In terms of his body shape, was absolutely fine in my opinion. It wasn't as if Byram was ahead, and it was a heavy touch in any case from Sam Byram, but it was a lovely ball from Dan James. The way he just flicked that with the outside of his right foot was excellent.
That was a hope rather than expectation appeal, wasn't it, I think, Dean?
He was the only one that appealed. Sam Byram probably looked around and saw that none of his teammates were appealing, and then got up and got back into position.
He's a bit more sheepish now, isn't he? As Leeds go back to their goalkeeper, Meslier. And Leeds, who are back in action at Elland Road against Cardiff at the weekend. That incredible home record they've got, 11 wins from their last 12 home league matches. Burnley may be a more effective team away from home at times than they have been here at Turf Moor. Roden with the good ball forward up the inside right. Bogle trying to play it across instantly towards Aronson on the edge of the box, but he seemed to miss his kick, and now Humphreys has won it back in the left back area. He's been adjudged to have fouled Bogle by the assistant referee. Not a lot of contact, but enough contact for the assistant to flag, and it's a free kick to Burnley, who are away at Portsmouth at the weekend rather. Portsmouth against Millwall, our live championship commentary on TalkSport 2 tomorrow night. Blackburn against Preston on Friday. We are in the Champions League on Wednesday for Manchester City against Club Brugge on TalkSport 2, and we'll have commentary of Manchester United at FCSB in the Europa League on Thursday night. There is live football pretty much every day of the week this week once again on the TalkSport network, and you can have your say at the end of the game tonight on the Sports Bar over on TalkSport by calling 03717 223344. 41 played, and it's 0-0. Headed by Roberts from the lip of the centre circle, flying into Leeds territory, only half away. Roberts forward now to Fleming, edge of the D over the top on a half volley that was very ambitious. There was a Leeds United player down. It was Ethan Ampadu. Fleming spun, turned and shot from miles out. You could see what he was dreaming of. It would have been an absolute wonder goal, and it's flown over the bar.
I don't mind that. It sits up beautifully for him at waist height, and he just then lets it drop as it comes over his right shoulder. He just swivels and wants to volley this and dip it up and over Meslier. Instead, he gets no dip at all, and it just goes straight out and into the fans behind the goal. Nowhere near troubling Meslier. And that's been the issue in this half. Yet to see an attempt on target, which is a disappointment when you've got two teams that have got the quality that they have.
Yes, not had a clear-cut chance in the game so far, and the deadlock yet to be broken in this game of high magnitude as the ball goes back to Ilan Meslier. The Leeds goalkeeper, thunderous clearance, left-footed out towards the Leeds right. Clever header in field by James, but swept away by Esteve for Burnley. Then a heavy touch by Roden just inside his own half, and it's a Burnley throw in front of the Leeds dugout. Do you think we'll see Burnley open up at all in the second half, Dean, if it does stay 0-0 going into half-time?
I think they'll want to grow into it, I'm sure. Scott Parker won't mind that they've kept Leeds to very, very little, but he'll want more. Of course he'll want more in front of the home support to try and create, and he has got a couple of options. Koleosho, obviously, with that goal away at Ellen Road, has got that electric pace. I really like Sarmiento. I think there's much more for him to give.
Yes, a player who scored some crucial goals in Ipswich's run to the Premier League last season.
And then you've got Rodriguez and Barnes if you want to take a trip down memory lane. Lovely.
Well, what a story that would be. Who knows? Could still be the case. 2 minutes of the first half remaining plus added time. Burnley 0, Leeds 0 on your home of the EFL, TalkSport 2. Bashir Humphreys back to the goalkeeper Trafford for Burnley, and now Egan Riley just outside his own penalty area here. Burnley, I mentioned they have had some frustrating draws at home so far this season, but they are unbeaten here in the league. Floated ball downfield by Esteve. Backpedaling was Rodent, headed away for Leeds United, the centre half. And then it's scooped long by Bogle, high over the halfway line, header away by Esteve again. Dare I say it, it's become a bit scrappy in the last few minutes as Leeds win a throw right on the halfway line on that far side. A good throw in field by Bogle to Gruev, who wasn't quite picked up, left edge of the centre circle, and at the second attempt he smuggled it wide to Byram. Byram now wanted Solomon to come closer to him and find a better pocket of space, so he's had to turn back into his own half, and the Burnley fans again applaud the work rate of their team and the tenacity out of possession. Leeds with Ampadu, captain. Leeds with the change kit tonight, all bright yellow with blue trim, and now Rodent midway inside his own half of the field. Another square ball to Ampadu again, out to this near side the left, and Byram takes it in his stride. Early ball forward down the near side touchline. Solomon is chasing. He had the pace to try and reach it, but seemed to think with Egan Riley converging upon him that there was no point in trying to get there. And in the end it's rolled behind for a goal kick to Burnley, and with 30 seconds away from added time at the end of the first half, I have to say, Dean, as some of the home fans head for the concourse areas, I don't think there'll be a lot of half-time because not a great deal has happened in the game so far.
No, and it's just lost the zip that it had at the start of the game. The ball being played with a much better tempo in that first 15 to 20 minutes. Since then, that tempo has dropped. The quality's dropped slightly as well. And both managers have got a bit of work to do at half-time.
There'll be a single added minute at the end of this first half here on TalkSport 2. Humphreys for Burnley out on that far side of the left. Leeds do very well to win it back in a combination play between James and Aronson has torn forward now 20 yards down the right hand side. Across came Esteve with a thunderous challenge. Double deflection off Aronson, who almost looks a foot smaller than Maxime Esteve, whose name is chanted by the Burnley fans, and that's a throw to Burnley, in fact, after that double deflection, and it's Humphreys to take it in the left-back area. His long throw towards the halfway line, header away by Cullen for Burnley, flicked forward by Fleming into Leeds territory, but it is harmlessly out of play. Quite a wind high up in the stand, but it hasn't affected the game at pitch level, I don't think. Just looking at the corner flags and everything's very calm. We've just about had that first and only added minute at the end of the first half here on TalkSport 2. Game between the two of the best in the Championship that has promised so much, but it's been very cagey as that half-time whistle goes. We haven't had really a clear-cut chance. We haven't had an effort on target in the first period as Daniel Farker and Scott Parker march from left to right towards the tunnel in one corner of the ground here at Turf Moor. From Burnley's perspective, it's yet another half of football without conceding a goal. Nearly 600 minutes now in the Championship since their defence has been breached. Leeds United have had a lot of the possession and territory and have looked threatening, particularly on their right flank. Dan James had their best chance, but it was a miss-hit right-footed shot that went wide. At the other end, maybe the best chance of the game overall for Burnley, but Zian Fleming from about 10 yards out couldn't direct his header on target. They are evenly matched, and perhaps there's no great surprise in that. Just 3 points between them at the start of the night in the race for promotion, and at half-time it is Burnley 0, Leeds 0.
Well, this is radio, so I can safely tell you that that's the best 0-0 I have ever witnessed, and you'll just have to take my word for it, won't you? Because 0.19 expected goals for Burnley, 0.22 for Leeds United. We shouldn't have even had half a goal in that first half. 4 shots, both of them, and neither side has mastered a shot on target. Yeah, So, lots for us to discuss. Dean Ashton. Dean, a frenetic start, but it is now settled into a bit of an arm wrestle. Not overly entertaining, not laden in quality. What have you made of that first half?
Yeah, you're right. I think the start promised quite a bit. I thought Leeds were excellent in the way that they were keeping possession. But Burnley, you can see why they've been so good defensively. Give you absolutely nothing through the middle of the pitch. It's clear that there's danger out on the right-hand side for Burnley with Bogle and Dan James. There's been a couple of times, I've counted 3 times when Dan James really should have been played in behind and has got the pace, I think, to get away from Humphreys, and they just haven't gone for that. They've gone for the safer option, and that's how it's felt, Hugh. It's felt safe. It felt like both teams are trying to be pretty safe and really don't want to make a mistake, rather than who's going to gamble and maybe take a risk in terms of their positioning or the attempt in the ball that they're going to play. And that's why you then end up with a bit of a slow end to the half.
Should we expect Burnley to have maybe taken a little bit more initiative in this game? They're the home side, the side that's chasing on the table as well. Why haven't they been more on the front foot?
Because I think they're frightened. I think they're frightened of Leeds' pace and counter-attacking ability, and that's why they've sat so deep. Even though they're the home side, they've given Leeds so much respect, probably too much. I think, you want to see more. You've got Anthony and Foster and Fleming and Brownhill, and they're good players. You need to get them more into the game. They can't just spend every minute of the half thinking about what position they are defensively and making sure that they're, they have to try and give a problem for Leeds. For Bogle, for example, needs to be thinking about Foster rather than the other way round. Same for Anthony up against Byram, but they've just been very, very cagey.
What about Leeds United? In terms of how Daniel Farke will be feeling, satisfied, I'm sure. Will they feel like they actually now are in a position where keep frustrating Burnley, keep the game as it is, looking at the strength that they've got on the bench, possibly it's a game that they can turn in the final 15-20 minutes or so?
I think Leeds will be the team that will push the hardest, I would expect. I think Scott Parker wouldn't be too disappointed if this did end up a draw. I'm sure he'd love to win it, but I could really see Daniel Farke making the changes and giving it a real go, because they've had control of the game. They've not really looked particularly threatened, just a couple of crosses into their area, but in the main they've controlled things without being able to get Perot really into the game. It's the wide players that are going to create and score in this game if it is for Leeds.
Attacking quality hasn't really been much of it. Is that a big disappointment in terms of the individual players? I know you spoke about some of the talent out there and which side needs to bring the if you like, the initiative to the game and try and pressure things. But actually, in terms of the individuals out there on the pitch, you're looking at them and thinking one of you could try and wrestle the initiative out of this game by just doing something a little bit different, a little bit special. And none of those players are really trying to, wrestle this result away from the other side.
It's a reason why these players are playing in the Championship and not the Premier League, because that's the hardest thing to do, Hugh, in football, is when these games are tight, when you're up against good opposition, who has got the quality, who's got the inventive brain to be able to create something. The one moment I thought that we saw that was Dan James cutting from the right-hand side and played a lovely little flicked ball in towards Byram, who then got shouldered by Anthony. That kind of, we haven't seen enough of that, spark and creativity. Yeah, it's all been pretty routine in terms of getting it down and getting it wide. And sometimes you're right, as attacking players, you have to think a little bit outside the box. You have to try and create something yourself, or you have to believe that you can score from outside the area. It's not as if we've seen. I mean, Fleming, I actually didn't mind his attempt because he's trying to think of something instinctively there that could produce a goal from very, very little. I quite enjoyed that attempt because the game's so tight, it might take something like that.
Okay, we'll be back with Dean Ashton and Joe Shannon at Turf Moor very soon. As it stands, Burnley's home record, undefeated, is going to stay intact. And Leeds United are going further clear at the top of the Championship table. As it stands, they'd be 2 points ahead of Sheffield United, but they will want to take all three, as will Burnley. We'll need to see a lot more in that second half if either side is going to take all 3 points. At the break here on TalkSport 2, it is Burnley 0, Leeds United 0.
Hear the biggest sports stories first and fast with the Back Page Review on TalkSport with Tesco Mobile for Business. Listen to TalkSport Breakfast every weekday morning from 6 for the latest breaking Back Page news, plus unbeatable reaction, opinion and comment. The Back Page Review on TalkSport with Tesco Mobile for Business. Join Tesco Mobile and get business phone bills for up to 40% less than the big mobile networks. Tesco Mobile, every little helps. For applicable terms and verification, see tescomobile.com/business.
At William Hill Vegas, we're bursting with entertainment. For GBP online accounts, use cash.
Minutes. In those 5 minutes, Joe managed to burst the main pipe and flood the entire ground floor. Workmates, they're a bit like switching your bank account for your business. You don't want...
Hi, Gemini. The football transfer window's open. How are my team's stats looking?
Well, your team definitely has a lot of star power.
Do you think we can have a good season?
It's going to come down to consistency and a little bit of luck on your side.
I'll let you know if we win.
I'll be keeping an eye on the scores.
Yeah, me too.
Now we're talking. Transfer to Google Pixel 9 with Gemini Live today. Sequences shortened. Gemini Live available for ages 18+. Internet required. Results are illustrative. Check responses for accuracy. Feature and account compatibility limitations apply.
When you're setting up a new nest, starting your own flock, or they just keep on growing, get the flex. For fashion, home and more. Search VeryPay. Ways to pay that work your way. VeryPay credit provided subject to status by Shop Direct Finance Company Limited, 18+, representative 44.9% APR variable.
TalkSport 2, official broadcast partner of the EFL. Football here on TalkSport 2. We've got Portsmouth versus Millwall.
They're back in the game now.
Build up at 7 p.m, kick-off at 7:45 p.m.
Superb.
Exclusively on TalkSport 2. Come on, it's Tuesday night. What else you going to do? Clean your air fryer? The Social with Adi Oladipo and Rory Jennings. Tomorrow afternoon from 3 on TalkSport 2. Outspoken opinions and decisive debate following all the action.
We talk about football in a bipartisan and educated way. Well, I do at least.
I try.
News, views, fun and football fixtures.
It's not just football though. Bit of boxing, bit of horse racing, even a bit of rugby.
And it's a try!
And some phenomenal guests.
If you can't get in this squad after showing the form he showed, I don't think it looks too good for him.
This is the place to be.
It's Adi and Rory. It's The Social on TalkSport 2.
What a goal!
The Social. Tomorrow afternoon from 3.
It just works, doesn't it?
On TalkSport 2.
Join the Football Collective.
The cool, clinical finish.
EFL Live
On TalkSport 2.
So, not too much to write home about in the first half at Turf Moor. Burnley 0, Leeds United 0, and a big game towards the top of the table. We expect a little bit more in that second 45 minutes to see if we can get a winner here on TalkSport 2. We'll be back very shortly up in Lancashire. Before then, there is just live international cricket to tell you about. It comes your way tomorrow afternoon. England's third T20 against India in Rajkot is live and exclusive. Ball-by-ball commentary here on TalkSport 2 and also on the TalkSport Cricket YouTube channel. Now, ahead of the game, England bowler Mark Wood spoke to our man on the ground, Will McPherson.
Back in Rajkot, how are you feeling?
Good, nice to be back here. Obviously, memories of the Test match. Very familiar looking ground. I think you've got that Lord's sort of media centre behind you, or looks a bit like Lord's. So it's nice to be back here and a chance to try and get a win on the board.
How have you felt across these first two games? Obviously, first two games for a while, and you hit your top speed straight away, didn't you?
Yeah, felt obviously fresh with having that time off with injury, so a little bit to work on. I still don't think I'm quite at the peak. I think it's nice to feel like my speeds are up, but I think I can be a tiny bit more accurate. I think I've been on it in certain bits, and then maybe one or two of us have been a bit off. So all trying to work back to that sort of, I guess, peak bowling speeds and peak bowling accuracy. So done it in little spits and spats so far, but not there overall.
It was a pretty good effort from a bowling group the other night, but just wasn't quite to be. Does that give you belief that you can get back in this series and win it 3-2?
I think you've got to believe, haven't you? There's no point saying to you now, oh, I don't believe we can win. I think, you know, we've got a talented group. I think we showed signs that in the last game. We took them on, even when we were losing wickets with the bat. We still kept coming with the ball, even when, you know, it was looking against us. We kept coming and trying to take wickets. So it was a great game of cricket, that last game. So much more competitive and much more where we need to be. So, you know, from the first game we made big improvements. If we can improve again this game, then I think we can get the win.
How does it feel bowling in this attack? So often you've been the like 1 point of difference fast bowler for England, but here Jofra, Jamie, Bryden, Gus, everyone bowls quickly, don't they? It's quite a fun attack to bowl in, I'd imagine. Yeah, it's great. For so long, I think, you know, England have been saying, oh, we want fast bowlers, It's great to see that we've got a battery of them now, and certainly as a lower order player, if I had to see opposition teams where they had fast bowlers, I wouldn't like it. So a chance to put pressure on opposition that way and try and take wickets.
Great to hear England bowler Mark Wood building himself back up towards 100% fitness. You can hear live and exclusive ball-by-ball commentary of the third T20 between India and England on TalkSport 2 and on the TalkSport Cricket YouTube channel from 12:30 p.m. tomorrow afternoon. Now, we're just under 2 weeks away from Super Bowl 59. That is live here on TalkSport from New Orleans. We know the team's now going to be fighting it out for the Vince Lombardi Trophy. The Kansas City Chiefs, looking to make history as the first team ever to win 3 Super Bowls in a row, will face the Philadelphia Eagles as they meet once again in a repeat of Super Bowl 57 just a couple of years ago. TalkSport will bring you live in-stadium commentary from the Superdome, and to keep across all of our coverage from New Orleans, you can head to TalkSport.com. Check out the TalkSport Endzone YouTube channel as well. We'll have exclusive interviews, in-depth analysis, all the way up to the game itself on the 9th of February. So make sure you're with us for that one. Should be a fantastic end to the NFL season. Remember, we got more live football coming up for you as well very, very soon here across the TalkSport network, really. Kick-off Adrian Durham, Chris Olumo and Courtney Sweetman-Kirk tomorrow night from 7 p.m. on TalkSport. All the goals as they go in from the EFL, including Portsmouth against Millwall, Huddersfield, Birmingham and Wrexham against Stevenage. We'll have live commentary from the Championship here at Fratton Park, Portsmouth, taking on Millwall. That's a 7:45 kickoff tomorrow night. Wednesday night sees the return of the Champions League. In fact, it's the final group games. All the games taking place at one time. So massive, massive evening. We'll have another Battle of Britain as Aston Villa take on Celtic on TalkSport. 8 o'clock kickoff on Wednesday night. And it is Manchester City against Club Brugge here on TalkSport 2. Kickoff time exactly the same. The players making their way back out onto the field at Turf Moor. So let's head back to our commentary team, the former England and West Ham striker Dean Ashton, who's alongside TalkSport's Joe Shannon.
And so, if it stays like this, it'll be as it was at the top of the Championship table. Leeds lead the way, and they would move a further point clear of Sheffield United in second, and Burnley would remain 3 points adrift of Leeds United in that all-important race for promotion. So in that sense, Dean Ashton, it feels like a draw would be a better result, or at least a preferred result for Leeds United. Does that mean there's a little bit more pressure on Burnley to go out and try and win the game in the second half?
Yeah, I would say so. But Leeds will know what a great opportunity this is also to stretch that lead, you know, and make it as difficult as possible for those chasing behind. And it's right there for them. You know, in that first half, if you're a Leeds United fan, you would have looked at Burnley and said, there's nothing to frighten us. We should really be looking to attack even more in this second half and really put the pressure on that incredible Burnley defence.
Well, it will be Burnley to kick the second half off in just a moment. Daniel Farker, the Leeds boss, just making his way across from the tunnel away to the right-hand side in one corner of the ground. over to where the dugouts are on the far side, the Bob Lord side of the stadium here in Lancashire. Very chilly night. The rain has stopped, though, at least for now, beneath the floodlights, and this much vaunted game in the Championship yet to spring into life. Burnley in third, up against Leeds at the top, and Burnley get the game back underway in claret and blue with white shorts, and a high ball floated forward immediately towards Foster. Laurent brings the ball down midway into the Leeds half. There was a foul on Jayden Bogle, and the free kick's given by the referee to Leeds United. No changes at half-time for either side, so Burnley have Trafford in goal, Roberts, Egan Riley, Esteve and Humphreys, Cullen and Laurent, Anthony, Brownhill and Foster behind Fleming up front as Bogle is helped to his feet. The Leeds United right back, Roden, Ampadu and Byram. The rest of the defensive four with Meslier in goal, Tanaka and Gruev in front of them, James, Aronson and Solomon behind Joel Pirou up front. And the two sets of subs, no changes made. Lots of Burnley fans still finding their seats in the second half. For Burnley, Ladke, Worrell, Sarmiento, Rodriguez, Egan, Pires, Hannibal, Koleosho and Barnes. And the lead subs, Darlow, Firpo, Rothwell, Ramazzani, Joseph, Gilavogi, Nonto, Schmidt and Verby. You're listening to Talk Sport 2. Burnley 0, Leeds 0. Burnley on the attack with Connor Roberts. A low ball into the near post, and Ethan Ampadu, the Leeds captain, is there to sweep it away high up towards the halfway line, and a miscued header by Egan Riley goes out of play. It's a Leeds United throw. Very few chances in the first period. The best was probably for Zian Fleming and Burnley, a header wide from 10 yards. For Leeds, Dan James found himself in a good position, but with the angle against him, he bobbled his shot wide. That's as good as it's got. Neither goalkeeper on this chilly night has had their palms warmed in the game so far. Here is Lyle Foster for Burnley, dropping deep almost into the left-back position, and it'll be sent back to Trafford all in blue by Esteve, and Trafford's clearance hangs up high in the wind, or drops up to the centre circle, and Leeds are there to win it back with Tanaka. Little ball smuggled back 10 yards to the feet of Ampadu. Leeds have possession, and they've had, it feels like, more of the territory over the course of the game so far, but possession and territory means nothing, of course, Dean Ashton, if you don't convert it into goals.
No, and neither team have really been able to create a meaningful chance. I would say probably Dan James's attempt was the best opportunity in that first half. You've got to see more from Burnley. You know, we talked about the runners from midfield. We haven't seen enough of that from Brownhill or Lauren to get up and support Fleming.
And Joel Pirou likewise has been marked out of the game. Leeds United's lone striker thus far. Scott Parker emerges from his technical area, hands in pockets on the far side of the field. And Scott Parker, who admitted that he understands the magnitude of the game, he didn't give it the old "it's just another game" cliche, but then at the same time you can understand Daniel Farke and his point of view. Nothing is won in January, and Daniel Farke has constantly stressed, the Leeds head coach, that it's about where his team are in May. It doesn't necessarily matter to be top of the table at this stage in the season, but Leeds will go 2 points clear at the top of Sheffield United in second as it stands. Esteve back to Trafford, who hammers it high right-footed. A little bit of slice on that clearance. Again, it dips midway into the Burnley half. Early ball downfield towards Joel Pirou, who nearly got in between the two central defenders, and it bounces through to Trafford, and Burnley clearly playing into the wind in this second half, Dean. 3.5 gone in the second period, and it is Burnley 0, Leeds 0.
Yeah, and luckily for Joel Pirou, he just doesn't have that turn of pace. You know, they're opened up. If he had, he probably would have got that and been able to get the shot away, but Esteve and Egan Riley are able to step in because he just didn't have the pace.
Tanaka's won it back off Esteve, and then Pirou's layoff is a poor one, straight to the big French defender, and Burnley have regained possession. Now Josh Laurent has not won out of play. Very scrappy few moments in the game, and it's a Leeds throw on the halfway line. Very close to our commentary position here. We're right at the back of the main stand, and it's very steep to the near side touchline. Burnley fans all around us in the bobble hats and scarves. It's a cold night, as you'd expect, in January at Turf Moor. Forward by Bogle, high left-footed. Good flick by Dan James, but too much on it for Pirou, and it's gathered by Trafford again. It is the sort of night, isn't it, Dean? And particularly with Burnley's defensive record, and that of Leeds United as well, we shouldn't forget they've got the second best defence in the Championship, where one goal you feel would certainly be enough to win it.
Yes, you would, but you'd expect more. I would still expect more. Of course, we want to give the credit to those defences, but you know, these two teams, if you want to get yourselves to the Premier League and do well in the Premier League, then you have to step forwards and have better quality, certainly than we've seen in this game so far. That's a better ball.
High over the top by Humphreys to Fleming, and a lovely ball up the inside left, and Foster in a foot race with Roden, who did excellently well. Roden shepherded it back to the goalkeeper under pressure. He was tripped by Foster anyway. It'll be a free kick to Leeds United. That's a couple of times now in this second half that Burnley have gone the direct aerial route, bypassing the midfield, and Roden showed what a great swaggering centre-half that he is at this level.
Yeah, it was actually a decent clip ball in towards Fleming, who was able to take that in and turn, and then look to find Lyle Foster. But actually, you'd be surprised, Roden has got a good turn of pace, and Foster wasn't able to get away from him.
Just 28 goals conceded between these two so far this season in the Championship. 19 Burnley clean sheets, 16 for Leeds. Defences are on top at Turf Moor, but Burnley have got a throw. Right wing position, far side of the field, and a Burnley fan in front of us up on his feet to urge the team forward. But Burnley, from the right wing area, have gone back to the halfway line. Little flick now by Anthony into Leeds territory, but Brownhill can't play the return ball back accurately enough. Cullen gets across, the tenacious Cullen in front of Aronson with the gloves on to win it back for Burnley. The atmosphere starting to pick up just a little. We're in the 52nd minute. Burnley 0, Leeds 0. Burnley, the team just outside the top two in the race for promotion. They closed the gap on Sheffield United in second to a point if this game ended in a draw tonight. If Burnley were to win, they would draw level on points with Leeds United. It would take a really big Burnley win for them actually to leapfrog Leeds, and I can't see the team scoring 4 goals the way this game is going. As Leeds win a throw in the left-back position. We'll have more live Championship football for you tomorrow night. Portsmouth against Millwall, that's a big game at the wrong end of the table. Blackburn against Preston in a Lancashire derby on Friday night. Back pass by Egan Riley, very heavy to Trafford, who did very well to keep it in play, the goalkeeper. The young number one with a high clearance downfield. It is 2 young number one goalkeepers. Trafford, who found the Premier League difficult last season, and Meslier, who's made his fair share of mistakes in the Championship this year. Foul on that far side on Gruev by Anthony. It's a Leeds free kick in the left-back spot. Here's the former England striker, Dean Ashton.
I think the slight difference so far, with both teams wide players, when the ball goes out to Dan James and Solomon, they look to turn and attack, whether that is dribbling 1v1 or driving inside and trying to combine. When the ball goes wide to Foster.
Oh, good ball up the middle by Roden, and it could fall for Solomon on the edge of the penalty area. Cleared away by Egan Riley in the nick of time. It was a sweeping ball by Roden from just inside the Burnley half, infield from the right, and it sort of swerved towards the centre of the penalty area. Solomon with all of his pace beaten to it by Egan Riley, and it's a Leeds throw.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if that was for Perot or actually for Solomon from Rondon's ball that he played in. I think the wind played a part in getting it towards Solomon. Egan Riley did excellent.
Solomon again out on the left-hand side for Leeds United, taking on Roberts, who's backing off. Solomon checks onto his right side, led with the edge of the penalty area. Reverse ball towards Byram, intercepted by Brownhill, and Burnley should play the ball away from danger. Anthony's wrestled to the ground on that far side by Gruev, and it's a free kick to Burnley in their right-back area. No sign of any imminent changes in the game. I can see some substitutes warming up, and I think they're almost all Burnley substitutes on that far side, closest to where the Leeds fans are.
Yeah, just going back to that point with the wide players for Burnley, when the ball goes to them, Anthony and Foster, they look as if they're going to attack, they check back, goes backwards, it ends up at the centre-backs. What's the point in that? That sort of thing just frustrates the supporters when, as a wide player, get the ball and don't want to go and attack your fullback.
Well, they've picked up 7 draws at home so far this season, have Burnley, and perhaps you can see why, though they are undefeated at Turf Moor in the Championship so far this season. Only picked up 10 home points in the whole of the Premier League campaign last year. Burnley revitalised, reborn under Scott Parker, Leeds beaten playoff finalists last season. Everybody expected them to be up there under Daniel Farke, and they are top of the championship. Bouncing ball downfield is headed away by Joe Rodon for Leeds. Tanaka shuffles it forward to Bogle on the halfway line. Near side, he checks back, slows the play down. Square to Tanaka. The game is still intriguing. 10 minutes into the second half, and though it is 0-0, and though there's been a desperate lack of goal-mouth action, it's on a knife edge, and everybody knows the importance of it.
Yeah, if there was a giant handbrake in the middle of the pitch, someone needs to just take it off, because it's so safe at the moment from both sides.
Yes, they're trundling along, aren't they, at the moment? Rodon for Leeds has peeled out to the right back position, plays it back to goalkeeper Meslier, all in green. Milan Meslier, who has kept those 16 clean sheets in the Championship this season for Leeds United. 18 of the 19 clean sheets for Burnley have been kept by James Trafford, his opposite number. Rodon midway inside his own half. Leeds are at walking pace now. Scott Parker and Daniel Farke, arms folded on the far side. It's turning into something of a chess match at Turf Moor. But who has got the killer move? Will there be a checkmate tonight? Or will it stay as it is? Byram races towards the halfway line, and he has to check back under pressure from Jadon Anthony. Both teams are supremely well organised off the ball tonight, and I think it's been a conservative approach, and certainly from Burnley, and to an extent as well from Leeds United too. Perhaps it feels like a game, maybe for confidence more than anything, that neither team must not lose. Heavy ball by Rodon towards James on the angle, and that's drifted out of play for a Burnley throw.
I mean the centre of the pitch, it's like central London traffic. There's just nothing there. There's just not the space to cut through the middle. All the space is out wide for both sides, but it's got to be done quicker. A little bit pedestrian at the moment. That's a better ball though.
Over the top by Rodon, down the Leeds United left. The far side is Solomon, who's controlled down by the corner flag. A sort of misty rain overhead now. Byram back to Gruev, a long way from goal. Burnley with everybody in clout and blue back behind the ball. Everybody forward inside the Burnley half for Leeds United. Ampadu, the deepest player, the furthest player back. Midway inside the Burnley half, a little touch back from Byram in a central area to the feet of Gruev. Gruev weighted pass out to the left-hand side. Solomon whips it in towards Pirou, headed away, hit on the volley by Bogle, and it's wide. And I think the referee had spotted an infringement anyway. The flag was up on the near side touchline, that yellow flag, and it's a free kick to Burnley. I don't think, Dean, it would have counted.
No, but it was a nice ball down the side for Solomon, who checked back nicely, looked up, played a ball in. Good defending from Esteve though. He was all over Pirou. Didn't allow him to get off the ground. Just had his arms over the top. And then, like you say, the assistant referee spotted something in the area.
I think it was offside against Joel Pirou as the ball was played in. They just got in front of Esteve inside that 6-yard box. Leeds now with Aronson looking to tear forward down the right-hand side. The quick-footed American, and he's won a throw off the retreating Foster midway inside Burnley territory, near side of the field. Near capacity crowd at Turf Moor tonight. Still no sign of any second-half substitutions, at least not for the moment. Well, I think I can see Willie Nonto's shirt is hanging over the seat in the dugout where he was seated previously, so maybe that's a sign of something as we head towards the hour mark on TalkSport 2. Here on the right is Tanaka for Leeds, and tackled from behind by Laurent. Leeds want a free kick, nothing given by the referee. Cleared high downfield by Humphreys, and headed down by Rodon for Leeds. It's dropped at the feet of Egan Riley. Good first touch into the centre circle, hacked down by the Leeds United man who was sliding in at him, and the referee has raced across straight away. It was Dan James with a lunging challenge, and that is surely going to be a yellow card.
Yeah, he just totally mistimed it, Dan James. He's trying to do the right thing and help his team out, but he just cuts right across Egan Riley to stop the counter-attack.
Well, I don't want to say forwards challenge, Dean, but it had a look of it. It was a bit of a desperate lunge, really. Both teams trying to find the breakthrough here, but 0-0 it remains.
But all that does is kind of just lift this home support. They're after anything at the moment to try and find their voices, and they want their team to produce it.
And here the Leeds United supporters marching on together. Here's the song away to our right-hand side. High ball downfield by Egan Riley. Bounces deep inside the Leeds half on that far side near the corner flag, and it's gone out of play for a Leeds United throw pretty harmlessly in the end. And the boos of the Burnley fans. Verbal jousting in the stands. While the game is yet to really light up on the field tonight on TalkSport 2. 03717 223344 if you want to call the sports bar on TalkSport from 10. Just download our app. It's the easiest way to swipe between both stations at your leisure. We've got live cricket for you tomorrow on TalkSport 2. England against India in the third T20. Champions League football on both stations on Wednesday night, the Europa League on Thursday night, Blackburn against Preston on Friday here on TalkSport 2. Newcastle Fulham in the Premier League on Saturday. Meslier clears left-footed upfield for Leeds. There's a swirling wind. That clearance has drifted down to Solomon, who's nodded it down, left edge of the area. Can he get away from Egan Riley? He's been held up, and he had to whip the ball towards the edge of the box, and then it deflected off Egan Riley and behind. It looked for a moment like Solomon might be in, but all credit to the Burnley defender for getting back.
Yeah, but that is where something could come from. Just a mistake. Egan Riley misjudging the flight of that ball because of the wind. Solomon in behind, but then the pace of Egan Riley to get back was excellent. I thought Solomon might have been away. He did well just to nod it forwards to himself, but then the pace of Egan Riley was just too much.
Not conceded in over 600 minutes, Burnley. Tanaka with a whip cross towards Aronson. Could fall for Solomon at the back post, and it's thumped away high into the dark night sky by Egan Riley again. It'll drop into the centre circle, expertly plucked out of the air by Ampadu. Leeds will come again, playing from left to right. Do they look the more likely at the moment? It feels like maybe they do. Bogle for Leeds, back to Tanaka, just inside the Burnley half. Is that fair, Dean? Do you think Leeds look the more likely?
They've just got more control. It doesn't feel like they're more likely to score. They don't look like they're going to carve the chance open. They've just got more control of the game because of the possession and the areas in which they're able to keep the possession.
Out on the right for Leeds is Tanaka. Lovely way to pass up the inside right towards Bogle. Humphreys gets in front of Bogle and is able to shepherd it behind. I think there was a touch by Bogle because Humphreys went sprawling down by the advertising hoarding, and it's a goal kick, maybe a free kick to Burnley. Yes, free kick given by the referee to be completely accurate. In front of that David Fishwick stand, the Leeds fans with their arms up in the air behind the goal.
Fair play to those Leeds fans and the Burnley fans behind there because of the wind.
The rain is getting whipped into it, isn't it?
The rain is just going straight in their faces.
And nice and dry here. Heated gilet tonight, Dean.
Ugh. Should be ashamed of yourself.
63 minutes gone. Burnley 0, Leeds 0. I do not own a heated gilet for what it's worth. Some unnamed colleagues do.
We know who they are.
Oh, yes, we do. Throw to Leeds in the right back position. Bogle will take it. Are you disappointed, Dean, with what we've seen?
I'm disappointed with how safe both teams have been. They both look like they just don't want to lose the game, and when you're in that kind of mindset, it just makes for a very cagey affair.
Clearance by Esteve off Aronson, and it's a throw to Burnley on the halfway line. We've now had 63.5 minutes, not a sniff of a chance at goal, a clear-cut chance anyway. Neither goalkeeper's had a shot to save, and the one opportunity that has come for Burnley was a header by Fleming wide from 10 yards. For Leeds, James with a bobbling effort wide of goal. Other than that, nothing in the final third.
And also the fact that there hasn't been a change, there hasn't been a substitution yet. You know, 64 minutes on the clock, not a single change yet, makes you think the managers are happy for it to continue the way it's going and take the draw.
Yes, maybe there's a mutual happiness in letting it peter out, but there's a long way still to go in the game, so that would be a risky ploy. 26 minutes to go, plus any added time. Trafford, the Burnley goalkeeper, right in the The heart of that swirling wind and rain finds Esteve just in front of him. And in these conditions, maybe, as you said earlier, Dean, mistakes could come into play. Who knows? Egan Riley for Burnley. Now he's picked up the pace. Over the halfway line he goes. Anthony calling for him to move the ball even further forward. He ran 50 yards there, Egan Riley. Anthony to Roberts down the right-hand side. Reverse ball by Egan Riley. Roberts is after it, but Gruev is there on the cover for Leeds to chip it out of play. Burnley throw. That is deep inside Leeds territory down there right.
And that's what he's in the team for, Gruev, to spot the danger.
Oh, quick throw towards Anthony in, and he gets the ball back from Brownhill from a very tight angle, and he whips it across the face of goal low and hard. No one there, but the offside flag was up anyway. No great conviction in that Burnley attack, and indeed, neither Fleming or Foster were attacking that ball in. It wouldn't have counted anyway, even if they had got to it.
Neither moved. Not good enough. In that position, one of you at least has to be gambling towards the back post and looking just to slide in towards goal in case it goes across like it did. Ultimately, he was offside anyway, but not good enough from the two forwards in terms of their movement.
Meslier clears long left-footed, the Leeds goalkeeper. High towards the halfway line, and Solomon beaten easily to it by Egan Riley. Egan Riley now blocked off by Solomon, who did well with a tackle from behind to win it back for Leeds. Now Tanaka, just inside the centre circle. Good ball out to the right-hand side, and Dan James, but he's beaten to it by Humphreys. It's dropped down to Bogle, though, for Leeds. Bogle, right corner of the penalty area, faced up by Foster. Bundled over by Foster, was he? Down by the dead ball line, no. Goal kick is given. The Leeds fans are absolutely fuming. I thought it looked a risky challenge from behind by Foster, and I don't think he got to the ball, and Bogle is making that point to the referee.
It's a foul. It's a foul. It's such an obvious foul. I mean, Foster actually trips and then takes Bogle out.
For Bogle.
Well, he's obviously had a word with the assistant as he went past, and then I think took his time with holding onto a ball. But I can see why he's angry. It's the easiest free kick you're ever likely to see a referee have to give.
So the top of the championship looks like this. They've all played 29, or they will have done by the end of the night. Leeds 60 points top, Sheffield United second 58, Burnley third 57, Sunderland fourth 55. 5 points between first and fourth. That is the tightness of this championship promotion race for you. Yeah. Fine margins tonight, certainly, as we go into, would you believe it, Dean, the final quarter of the game. Burnley 0, Leeds 0. We still haven't had a shot on target.
Yeah, I mean, Sunderland and Sheffield United, perfect result for both of those teams. They'll be more than happy to be watching two teams that, I mean, they almost look scared. They almost look scared to really commit players forwards, which is strange, but I guess the pressure of this type of fixture gets to even the best.
Header on the halfway line by Brownhill, cushioned into the path of Fleming, over the top, down the middle for Anthony to chase. Anthony's beaten the defender, the flag stayed down, and then Meslier made a great save, but the referee brought the play back anyway for a foul by Anthony on Roden, who did go to ground. Ampadu's screaming at the referee now. I think he wanted an earlier decision. Anyway, Meslier made a good stop to deny Anthony. Leeds going to make at least a double change, it looks like, in a few moments.
Yeah, it's a tiny touch, but it's just enough to move Rodon out of a position to head it. And as soon as you put your hands on the back of the defender when he's ahead of you, and if the referee sees that, he's going to give the free kick. A little better, though, from Burnley. Nicely moved quickly forwards, and then a runner in behind. We haven't seen enough of that from Burnley in terms of getting players in behind the Leeds defence.
Just over 21 minutes to go on TalkSport 2. Billed as the game of the season so far. It's been tense, and it's certainly, in terms of attacking quality, has not provided the spark that we were hoping for. There's Stev for Burnley. Forward to Laurent, midway inside his own half. He's dispossessed by Bogle. Now Al Tanaka for Leeds United. Skips away from Laurent with a lovely touch, and an angle ball to the right, and James over the top with a clever pass up the middle. Good covering header away by Esteve. It has hit the corner flag and gone behind for a corner to Leeds United.
Brilliantly stretched by Esteve, because if he doesn't get this, and then Leeds are in behind and in towards James Trafford's goal, he had to make sure with the header. Good positioning from him.
Well, Byram is forward for Leeds United here. Roden and Ampadu are lurking, and Piru right in front of the goalkeeper. Tanaka is in the 6-yard box. Gruev is going to take the corner. Solomon has come short for him. Is it going to be whipped in left-footed and direct by Ilya Gruev here for Leeds? Burnley have brought everybody back. Burnley 0, Leeds United 0. On a huge night in the Championship. Gruev to whip it into the near post, and it hits the side netting. Must have got something on it in terms of the wind to take it away from Trafford's goal, but ultimately as a passage of play, rather sums up the game, doesn't it, Dean?
Yeah, it does. I think he was trying to score, actually. Gruev, I think he was going to use that wind and rain and try and whip that in towards the goal, but it's Daniel Farke who blinks first. I thought it might be the case in terms of Daniel Farke looking to go for the match more so than Scott Parker.
Well, is that Ramazzani and Joseph coming on for Leeds United? Off goes Joel Piru, likewise Manor Solomon. Just how tough a night was it for Joel Piru? Dean, as a former striker yourself.
I mean, he'll feel like he probably shouldn't have bothered turning up, because he got very, very little change out of the two centre-backs and had hardly any support. I don't remember Aronson running beyond him once, but Joseph, he'll give you a bit more pace, a bit more running power that might just cause a problem for the Burnley defence.
What a poor run of form in front of goal, Matteo Joseph. What a night it would be tonight to end that run. Foul on Gruev, midway inside his own half the field, and the Burnley fans frustrated again as Leeds United win a free kick. And Leeds have been completely untroubled, Burnley have been completely untroubled. They've been evenly matched, all right, in one sense, but still that lack of quality and lack of risk-taking, such a notable feature of the game so far. Leeds will remain top. Leeds will remain top, and they'll extend their lead at the top to 2 points above Sheffield United. Burnley would still be 3 behind Leeds. Little touch by James up the right, swept out of play by Esteve, who has been excellent so far for Burnley, as he so often is, alongside CJ Egan-Riley.
I mean, they've been excellent. They have, you know. Just when you think there's an opening, one of them steps across. Just when you think they might get away, they show their pace. You can really see what a great partnership they've formed.
Both teams do strike late in matches quite often, so there is some hope there. As Leeds win a free kick, it is, just a yard infield from the near side touchline. Burnley 0, Leeds United 0. On TalkSport 2, your home of the EFL. Leeds against Sunderland is one of our Monday night EFL commentaries in a few weeks' time. I think it might be you and I, Dean, for that one.
Yeah, big
Let's hope
games
we're not the
those.
0-0 merchants.
No.
Forward by Tanaka to the feet of Joseph. Heavy touch with his back to goal, but he has poked it wide towards James. There's Foster to poke it out of play for a Leeds throw. Now Burnley are going to make a change very shortly here, and it is the man you called for, Dean, Sarmiento, who's going to come on shortly.
I just think he's a risk taker. I think he doesn't mind giving the ball away, trying to attempt something creative, and this game needs, I think, that type of player.
Likely to be Foster or Anthony to come off. We'll see in a moment. Mellier's long clearance for Leeds. There was a foul by Anthony on Ampadu, shove in the back. Free kick given, and is that Anthony's last contribution? No, it's Foster whose number is up. Number 17 replaced by number 7, the lone player Jeremy Sarmiento, who you and I, do you remember it last season, Dean, that winner he scored for Ipswich against Southampton in the 90-something minute in a game a bit like this? On he comes.
And you just, I mean, look, the game is crying out for something different. You wonder if it's gonna come from these substitutions who have been sat there watching this game, probably feeling like, get me on, let me try and change the direction of the game and produce something, because even they would have been bored.
Byram in the left back position for Leeds. We'll see it back to Ampadu. There is a tense atmosphere, though, isn't there? There is a sense that any mistake, especially as the game goes on, can result in a goal.
I do understand that, but you shouldn't be thinking that as a forward player. Definitely not. I get it if you're the defenders, but not forward players. I think the forward players have been very, very safe. this evening. That's what surprised me the most. Too many times the ball's gone into them and they've decided to take the negative approach and go backwards rather than I can do something, I can take someone on, I can try and produce something. That's been the disappointment for me.
Roden square to Ampadu. And now Gruev just shy of the halfway line for Leeds. A high diagonal ball, left to right, good ball. Dan James will bring it down on the near side touchline. He's 5 yards from the dead ball line as he takes on the defender Humphreys. Humphreys backing off a little. James onto the left foot to whip it in. And Ramazzani was at the back post, but he was well blocked off by Connor Roberts. Excellent ball in from James. No Leeds player could get that telling touch.
I thought that was excellent from Dan James. I mean, the ball across from Gruev was superb. He took a great first touch. He stood Humphreys up. He just waited and just jinked onto his left foot. I thought it was a great ball, and you think, go on, attack it. Ramazzani, and then he just hit the brick wall of Roberts, who had his body position was perfect, and he just stuck his backside out. There was just then no way of getting around or over the top of the defender for Ramazzani.
A rare bit of attacking quality in the game as Roberts hoists a high long ball downfield. Fleming very deep for Burnley, no chance of reaching it, but it has dropped to Brownhill on the halfway line, and Brownhill going for the return pass down the right from Anthony, and he's got there. Then Ampadu slid in, got to the ball, but certainly caught the man. And the free kick given by the referee. Is that going to be another yellow card? Burnley have taken the free kick quickly. It's a fanciful notion because the referee was nowhere near ready for them to take it again. But Brownhill stays down. I don't think he has been booked yet, Ethan Ampadu. But maybe the yellow card will eventually come for the Leeds United captain.
Yeah, he can't believe the decision's not gone his way, because he's just slid in, won the ball. Yes, he's collided with Brownhill, but Brownhill ultimately was just falling to the ground. Yes, he takes a whack, but it's just a great challenge from Ampadu. But nowadays, sometimes the referees will give a free kick if they feel that you've gone in with too much force with the follow-through.
He had his arms outstretched to the assistant, did Ampadu, just to say, surely you can help me out here. But it's a word from the referee, talking to, trying to explain his decision. Josh Smith is the man in the middle, and just a talking to it remains for Ethan Ampadu. No further action taken. And Brownhill now up on his feet for Burnley with 13 minutes to go. Reminder that a Burnley goal would take them second in the table and level on points with Leeds United here in the Championship. The race for promotion continues, and we will have every kick of all the important games here on Talk Sport 2. Brownhill is temporarily off the field. Burnley temporarily down to 10. Long is forward for this free kick. Humphreys, Egan Riley, and Esteve at the back post. Fleming now joining the attack. Sweeping wind around the ground. Jayden Anthony is standing over it for Burnley. A nervy moment potentially this for Leeds. 35 yards out, well to the right. Anthony delivers high right-footed. Goalkeeper came and then backpedaled, and it's gone behind. Esteve at the far post, challenging with Bogle. Goal kick given. Just for a moment there, Meslier was caught in two minds, I think.
Yeah, just misread the flight of the ball. I didn't think it was a particularly great ball. Bogle did excellent just to make sure that he shepherded that away and took a whack for his troubles as Esteve tried to stretch and get it. He was never going to get to it. And it felt like a slight disappointment in the end, actually, from Burnley's perspective, not to put a better ball in.
Former England striker Dean Ashton is here with us tonight on Talk Sport 2. 03717 223344 to have your say on the sports bar over on Talk Sport from 10. Portsmouth against Millwall tomorrow night in the Championship on Talk Sport 2. Good ball Tanaka to the Leeds left, and Byram infield towards the edge of the penalty area, but Matteo Joseph not able to stretch control. Cleared away. It's come back to Byram. It was cleared away by Egan Riley. Good turn by Ramazzani infield, but he's trying to dribble beyond Laurent, who's there to whip it off his toes. Burnley have it back in their left back area, and Humphreys sees it safely back to Trafford. Trafford with a high-hanging clearance. It dips into the middle of the Leeds half. Header away by Sam Byram, and it's been missed by Sarmiento in the centre circle. Leeds trying to win it back, but Burnley shuffle it wide left. Heavy touch by Humphreys, under pressure on the halfway line. He's poked it into opposition territory. Leeds have got the ball back in their control. Now Aronson inside right, forward towards James, too much on it. James can't control. Goal kick given, and so the lack of chance creation, the lack of attacking quality, the lack of anything close to an effort on goal that is meaningful carries on. Burnley 0, Leeds 0. There are only 10 minutes plus added time to go, and if anything, Dean, at this point, what's the perspective of both head coaches? Do they think even more conservatively and think, well, at this point we might as well really go for the point?
No, I think it's more conservative. You don't want to give points away. It wouldn't be a bad result for either team. I think that's why we've seen the game that we have. I might probably, as Brownhill does a nice little touch, but then again, good from Byron. If I was the managers, I'd look to maybe fine my forward players. To not have one shot yet in the second half, that's a finable offence in my book.
Daniel Farker out to the edge of his technical area, leads with Byram in the left-back position, heading clear. Ramazzani trying to keep it in play on that far side. He's done very well there, largely Ramazzani. It's a Leeds throw, despite the Burnley appeals. I could see that from here. And we're on the opposite side, and some of the Burnley fans out of their seats. Promise you that was a Leeds United throw in the left-back area.
But it's mad. It's mad to think that two teams of this quality, looking for the Premier League, wanting to get promoted and test themselves against the elite in the Premier League, cannot muster one shot in anger in this second half so far.
Yep.
It's just been so safe.
And it does not say much for their prospects in the Premier League should they get there. We have seen once again all three sides who've gone up struggle in the Premier League this season. Southampton, Ipswich, Leicester, though they did get an important win, Leicester, at Tottenham at the weekend to move out of the relegation zone. Here is Gruev for Leeds United, midway inside his own half. We're in the 82nd minute. Burnley 0, Leeds 0. In a thoroughly uneventful game, it has to be said. But Leeds will stay top. Burnley will close the gap on Sheffield United in second to just a single point. Not a bad night this for Sheffield United, and Sunderland in fourth, 5 points off the leaders Leeds. If it does stay like this.
Little surprised not to see Koleosho enter the field as yet. You know, scored against them earlier in the season, has that feeling that you get. Got the pace to trouble Leeds, maybe Sam Byron instead of Anthony on the right.
Foul by Brownhill in the centre circle. Leeds take the free kick, and Ampadu's got possession on the halfway line. Forward to Ramazzani, he's 10 yards into the Burnley half. One chance, one goal. Surely it would all it would take to win the game tonight, but at the moment it doesn't look like coming. Unless there is something from nowhere, or a mistake. Swirling wind and rain, you never know, the conditions might play a part. Aronson jinks away from Cullen, midway inside the Burnley half, and suddenly there's options left and right. He finds Byram. Far side of the field, taking on Jadon Anthony. Shuffling infield is Aronson again. Back to Gruev, long way from goal. Square ball to Roden. Further wide on the right is James. Hugging the touchline on the overlap is Bogle, but James keeps the ball. Skips away from Sarmiento. Corner of the penalty area. Sarmiento tracking back at him. Now out to Naka for Leeds United. Infield it goes to Aronson. Good move. Bogle angled tight inside the penalty area, and he's blocked off by Esteve. Tried to dribble beyond Esteve. Dropped the shoulder, but Esteve having none of it, and Humphreys clears away for Burnley. Fleming is tripped. Free kick to Burnley. Leeds momentum gone.
Yeah, every single time Leeds have even looked like they're going to create, Esteve or Egan Riley have stepped across. They've been so good at just spotting not even the danger, but just the space in which the danger might arise. Outstanding, the pair of them.
Forward by Egan Riley, high long ball, good diagonal ball, down the Burnley right, and Anthony taking on Byram in a one-on-one, lays it back towards the edge of the penalty area. Gruev sliding in to block it, double deflection again, typical of this game. It's gone behind for a goal kick to Leeds United. There are 6 minutes plus added time to go on TalkSport 2. Goalless it remains between Burnley and Leeds. Shot on targetless it remains.
Again, an opportunity, Jadon Anthony to go 1v1 against Sam Byron. The ball was excellent down the right hand side. Go at him, drive at him. Instead, he slowed it down.
Long ball, Ampadu over the top. He spotted the run of Ramazzani, but it's overhit and it's taken away from Ramazzani in the wind. 2 bounces and it flies out of play in front of the Leeds fans for a goal kick to Burnley. It's a wretched night weather-wise, isn't it? Some of the Burnley fans heading for the exits and they're going to get caught in that heavy rain. Trafford, the Burnley goalkeeper, all in blue away to the right-hand side. We must not lose the approach from both coaches tonight. That's how the game has panned out. Anthony, 10 yards shy of the halfway line, back to Egan Riley. Heavy touch under pressure from Joseph, and he does manage to feed it back to goalkeeper Trafford. Trafford first time clearance high to the halfway line, jumping is Ampadu. He beats Brownhill in the air, the flick downfield by Tanaka. There's Stev with a cushioned header to Egan Riley. Was there a foul by Cullen on Aronson off the ball? Nothing doing, said the referee. That's certainly a shove in the back from Byram on Anthony. Free kick to Burnley. Scrappy at the moment, and now Ramat Zani having an argument with Brownhill on the halfway line, and the referee just has to come and defuse that. And Burnley will take some time because their man is still down, and they'll take some time to take this free kick. Our live cricket tomorrow on TalkSport 2 between England and India is underway from 1:30. That's a commentary of the third T20. The Champions League climax is on Wednesday. Villa against Celtic on TalkSport. Man City against Club Brugge here on 2. Thursday night, Manchester United at FCSB on TalkSport 2. Tottenham against Elfsborg on TalkSport. Burnley hoist the free kick downfield. It's headed away by Byram, but it's still alive here for Burnley on the right. Roberts tucks it infield towards the edge of the box. Tanaka's there. Sweeps it away from danger. Left-footed, there's Egan Riley to head it out of play. 2 sets of centre-halves have been the best players for me, Dean.
Yeah, but it's been quite an easy night for them. They've not genuinely been tested. They've stepped across, they've won the headers, they've done all the simple things that have been required of them all evening. I've just been so disappointed with the forward players, just to not have the urgency or the desire to want to get at their opponent and take the safe option too often.
Laurent has given it away to Greb. Early ball down the middle to Aronson. Heavy touch. A Stev there to clear. Important challenge just outside his own penalty area. We've had nearly 87 minutes. Burnley 0, Leeds United 0. Leeds will stay top of the championship, as they were always likely to do. A Burnley big winner side. 0-0 the score, and here is Bogle caught on a penalty area for Leeds. He's got away, the angle is against him. Can he get the shot in? Jayden Bogle charged down at the last by Cullen. That's the best opening we've seen in the second half. Corner.
Yeah, and a vital bit of defending from Cullen. He spots the danger, he gets himself into a good position at centre-back from that midfield area. When Bogle wriggles free and looks to get his shot away, Cullen didn't dive in too much and just waited for Bogle to pull that leg back and then stepped in to block brilliantly.
2.5 minutes of normal time to go, but this is a nervy moment for Burnley. Corner to Leeds United. Greb will take it left-footed from the near side of the field. 3 of the 4 defenders are up there, including the 2 centre-halves, Rodon and Ampadu. Burnley, with this great defensive record, have brought everybody back. Is it going to continue for them? In by Gruev, Rodon with a downward header, it's blocked and hit on the half volley and tipped over by Trafford. Finally, we have the first serious effort on goal of the game, and it was Dan James with a rasping drive. Trafford tips it over, 0-0.
Yeah, he controlled the volley really well. He kept his knee over the ball, kept the ball down. It's just a shame it was straight at Trafford.
Another corner by Gruev into the 6-yard box, headed away only as far as Tanaka, right down by the dead ball line. He tried to pull it back, and it's gone out of play for a goal kick. The first time that either goalkeeper has been called into action in the 88th minute, and James Trafford, equal to it, sort of punched the ball over the top of the crossbar to deny Dan James.
Yeah, I mean, look, it was a simple save in the end for Trafford. It was straight at him. It was well struck, kept it down, did Dan James on the side winding volley. But Trafford, you would expect him to make that save.
And on comes Hannibal for Burnley to replace Josh Brownhill for the final minutes of the game. Hannibal, instantly recognisable with his long dark hair, sent off here recently against Stoke City, served a 3-game ban in the Championship. Last 45 seconds of normal time at the end of the game, and it's Burnley 0, Leeds 0 on TalkSport 2. Burnley will stay third in the Championship. They'll close the gap on Sheffield United in second to a point. Leeds 60 points, Sheffield United 58, Burnley 57, Sunderland 55. 30 seconds of normal time to go. Hannibal is an attacking player and brought into the game. Who knows how much added time there will be? I would venture not too much. Humphreys has won it back on the halfway line for Burnley. Back to Cullen in a very tight area. Good football by Burnley. Neat triangular passing. Sarmiento's heavy touch in field is won back by Gruev. Now Dan James racing up the middle. He's got Joseph to his right-hand side. Right edge of the penalty area. Low ball in is blocked. Not once, but twice. Excellent Burnley defending. Just the 3 added minutes at the end of the game. A goal will win it here. 3 the side right at the end. 0-0. Burnley fans, some of them heading for the exits. Poor ball upfield by Anthony. Ampadu there to win it back for Leeds for the first time in the second half. It just felt stretched for a minute there, but then Byron miscontrols and it's a Burnley throw on halfway, Dean Ashton.
Yeah, a couple of possible openings for either team, and then just a poor touch or a poor pass just stops the momentum of the attack as Gruev goes down with a bit of cramp, I would expect.
And it's going to be Gilavogi for Leeds, very experienced midfield enforcer who's going to come on, and I wonder whether they're going to bring him on for Gruev anyway. Quite a few empty seats starting to appear around the ground, and confirmation of this change. A minute into 3 added, Burnley 0, Leeds 0. Gruev goes off, and here comes the Frenchman, Gilavogi. Well, we certainly gave it the big build-up, didn't we, Dean? But it really has never come into life at all from an attacking sense, this game. There's always been something in it because of the jeopardy involved, but Leeds have maybe looked slightly more likely, but in truth, no great quality in attack.
No, and the handbrake for both teams well and truly on. Such a safe performance from the pair of them. Be interesting to see and hear what the two managers say.
Just over a minute of added time remains. Trafford's come a long way out of his goal to hack the ball clear right-footed up to the halfway line, headed down by Sarmiento straight to Bogle in the right back position for Leeds. Just over a minute remaining. Burnley 0, Leeds 0. Meslier has the ball, the Leeds United goalkeeper, in this torrential rain now at Turf Moor. Ampadu midway inside his own half of the field. Well, they dare not lose it now, that's for sure. Ampadu back to Meslier once again. Leeds playing it safe. Meslier clatters the ball high long up towards Mateo Joseph. That's been caught in the wind. Esteve heads it away, and it's dropped down to Dan James. 25 yards out, tried a shot. That was charged down. Leeds fans wanted handball behind the goal. Nothing given by the referee. Now Tanaka scoops it downfield. Lovely flick by James. Ramazzani out on the left. 25 seconds to go. Ramazzani tearing into the penalty area. The angle's against him, and he flashes the low cross shot into the side netting. I don't think either team deserves to win the game, and it's surely going to end 0-0.
No, they don't, and that pretty much sums it up. Ramazzani cutting down the left-hand side, looking to get his cross into a dangerous area and hits the side netting. And the momentum is gone once again.
The 3 added minutes have been played. Maybe we'll get a few seconds extra after the injury to Gruev. You can hear the Leeds supporters chanting away to the right-hand side. Trafford will take the goal kick, and you'd expect the referee to then blow the final whistle, which he does. Stalemate at Turf Moor, a game with so much billing prior to kicking off, but you have to say, one of the most desperately disappointing championship matches all season in terms of attacking threat and endeavour. One shot on target across the whole of the 93 minutes. Dan James for Leeds late on, tips over the top by James Trafford, the Burnley goalkeeper. Defence is most certainly on top. The mantra for both head coaches was surely must not lose, and both failing to win the game, but they do at least avoid defeat. It's yet another clean sheet for Burnley, 7 in a row in the league and unbeaten in 16 league matches now, home and away. Leeds United without a defeat in 11 in the Championship. They stay top, 2 points clear of Sheffield United. Burnley in third, remain 3 behind Leeds United. But this has to have been, in terms of on-pitch exchanges and lack of quality, it's one of the most forgettable games of the Championship season so far. How ironic is that? It has finished level pegging. Burnley 0, Leeds 0.
Don't know what you're on about. I thought it was absolutely brilliant. Yeah, well, maybe it was brilliant in about 1935. I'm not sure about 2025, to be perfectly honest with you. Listen, it's a game that promised so much. It obviously did not deliver. One shot on target in the entire match. Daniel Farke and Scott Parker kind of went up to each other at the end and gave a wry smile. I think they were both embarrassed over what their teams delivered this evening. But both, I think, Dean Ashton will be happy enough with a point.
Of course they will, because of the way they set their teams up, the substitutions that were made. You know, it said everything about how I think both managers were feeling and both teams were feeling. Get out of here with a draw. You know, not give anything away. But it's one of the most, I think, the safest performances I've seen from two teams up against each other towards the top of the league that I've ever seen. You know, it never had at any point it felt like there was any risk taking at all.
Burnley didn't have a shot at all in the second half. And I said to you at half-time, you know, they should have been the team maybe going with a little bit of the initiative, the home side, you know, wanting to get a big scalp, the possibility to draw themselves right back into that title race and close the gap on Leeds United. They weren't able to do that this evening. But you mentioned that word risk. Jeopardy. There was no roll of the dice at any point in time from Burnley, and that for me, if I were a Clarets fan, would be a real disappointment. You're in a great place in the league. Let's go out there and try and turn Leeds United over and give our fans that big scalp. Nothing bigger in the Championship this season than beating Leeds United. You went to Ellen Road, you beat them there in a game that you probably shouldn't have won. Tonight,